So it is with great pleasure to have on the program today Wolfgang
Thank you.
Fasser.
It's nice to be with you.
It's a pleasure to have you. And Wolfgang, you are a sound recordist, a music therapist, and in both of these fields, you are a listener. And this program, we come back again and again to the mystery of listening. And I wonder if there are any stories, any insights you've had from your long career in being both a therapist and a musician, where you've felt and seen and learned from the magic of listening? I know that's a big question. Maybe we could
Yeah.
start more small, but I figured we'd start big.
No, thank you. It gives me an open door. Listening is for me the umbilical cord to life.
Ah,
I'm just by nature listener. It's not only because I'm blind. I listen, and listening for me creates images, creates it's connected. It's the world listening. And I'm just interested in listening any kind, anything. Let's say, as a music therapist, I have to listen to my patient. I like to purify my listening until I come to a open, non-conditioned listening. Just listening in here and now. That phenomena, that's what it is. Without thinking, without understanding, without already organizing something or thinking on the response. Just open, unconditioned listening. This is something which I'm searching, I'm working on, and I'm fascinated how much the world expresses itself. The world means uh, myself, the other, the community, the world, the nature, there where we are, and yeah, and then even Mother Earth and heaven. How much it expresses itself, but that's what you can listen. So listening is just a baseline of my life, and I'm interested, of course, in music. I love listening music. I love listening live music, being there, but of course my CDs as well. I love listening when I play myself music or in my klezmer band. I'm a ham radio. I'm amateur radio, and I listen on my equipment which is next to me. You just listen. Let's say if we do telegraphy, Morse code, maybe in that you see do. You just listen that sound. You're reading it. Or you just make a call, a general call. Then you listen. Who will answer? Probably somebody from Africa, probably a guy from next village, somebody from Russia. It's beautiful. I like to listen as well to just the sounds of the atmosphere. Our atmosphere and the solar wind and so on makes that shh in the atmosphere. Probably in old times when you listened medium wave, you could hear this type of atmospherics. It's something very interesting to listen and to understand what's going on in the atmosphere. And then, of course, I love to listen to the world, to the sound of the people, the sound in the village, the sound of nature. For me, it's just an open door to life, listening.
So, woof, so many, so much in what you've just said, and just giving rise to a couple of questions. As one listens in this more purified realm that you're describing, are there what I would say, uh, what comes up? What are the impressions of listening? What stays? What stays? Wait a minute, moving my microphone out of the way. What stays with you? What stays? Is it oh my goodness.
For me, listening on the end, where do we listen? Of course, with the ear and with us, our auditive system in the brain. But this is just the sensor. On the end, we're listening with our soul, as you see with your soul. So there is always an answer from your inside to that what you are listening. It's a connection. Uh, this way of open listening, of I feel it's something receptive. You know, listening is not passive at all. In music therapy, in old times, you said we do active music therapy where we play music together, or we do passive music therapy where the patient is listening. No, not at all. Listening is something very receptive. Listening is a huge activity in ourselves. And of course, it's very much psyche too. And so with even with your body you are listening something
Yeah.
physical. It's holistic. The listening process is holistic, and it doesn't surprise me when the neuroscientists say the auditive system is that system of our senses which is connected with most other areas in the brain which are not involved in listening process. uh, Listening is something so holistic, and for me, of course, it we listen with our soul.
So, um, when you're listening, do something akin to an image come up for you? Does an image come up, or is that as an echo from your cited past? Or and if it does that get in the way? Is that something that's okay? That's not relevant here. I'm asking myself this question too, of where do sounds uh, that I've heard that have left an impression, what is that? I know I'm trying to explain something in words, but do the
Mhm.
sound are the sounds is the nature of a sound impression that sort of memory of it? Is it just a feeling? Is it a visual impression? And if so, does that get in the way from what this other form of listening is that you're describing?
Yeah, this is a huge topic, you say, and it's so interesting to explore it. Our way to the way we listen can be very different. I can have an analytic way of listening. Let's say we listen to a soundscape, and then we say, Jim, Wolfgang, what did you hear? And then I tell you, I could hear this, I could hear this, I could hear this, and probably are on the acoustic level and so on. Okay, I can do an acoustic observation, and I will tell you about that, what I'm listening, what happened there. Maybe you give me a recording, somebody's in the house cooking, and I will tell you now he is preparing the coffee now. It's doing the coffee machine now. It's coming up. By that sound, I can have an analyze of what is the interaction, what is going. So this is more an analytic. We have a creative listening of gestalt. That means, and it comes when you do soundscapes, and then maybe you have your microphone 2 hours open, then you listen everything, and then you decide I want to have this piece, maybe there where two deers are barking to each other, and then you just cut it in the right spot before and after, and then you have done already a composition, and this is your way of listening where you're creative. You're listening somehow like in pictures and postcards. This is a way of listening, and this is a quite a mature way of listening. Or maybe you listen as a musician. I have a friend, he's a psychiatrist, and he loves doing composition on the computer, and he loves to play the guitar, and he loves just funny ideas. So he went to the chicken home and was just sitting there for hours to listen to music of chicken, and he understood chicken, they give you the bass line for a blues. And then he prepared the chicken blues. He just recorded the chicken sound, and in
Uh-huh.
his studio, playing the guitar and singing
Uh-huh.
over it, he used the sound. He made just the bass line or the chorus of the piece by chicken sound. Marvelous. And you can hear the blues. Of course, chicken, they don't know it was a blues, but he could hear his joy in the blues in the chicken sounds. and he
Yeah.
put it together. So this is somehow the musician is listening. And of course, there is this unconditioned listening, which is not ending in association we do or ideas we do have, which is not conditioned. This is something really to work on. Uh, I had the privilege to meet Jiddu Krishnamurti. He was a teacher, a philosopher, and his whole work was to make us aware about conditionings we have and to liberate us from conditionings. And so he worked a lot on listening too, and he made us to understand how much listening can be conditioned by thinking, by ideas, by our belief systems, and so on to reach, to explore that listening and to arrive on an open, unconditioned listening. That means listening in the here and now, just to hear what happens. This is an art, this is a challenge. And we all know when we do recordings, you never hear everything which happened. When you then listen to your soundscape, to your material, you're surprised. And when you listen it 4 or 5 times, you will hear much more, which you
Yeah.
couldn't hear before. You always have a filter. And here, this practice of unconditioned listening, which makes you open for that, what is in that here and now. So all these topics, I'm so interested and I love it.
Yeah.
And I want to know what makes a sound? What is, let's say, a bird when he's singing? Who is that bird? What's he doing now? Or let's say now I can hear in my background there are the bells from the church, and they do
Mm.
some reflections. And sometimes I can hear some strange reflections. Just it comes from the sounds of the bird, the bells being reflected somewhere from the mountain and so on. It's so interesting to listen selectively in that sound of that reflection.
Huh.
So everything which is sound is for me interesting and listening to it in the various possibility to listen. There is not one way to listen, but there is the art of listening, and you can become a friend of listening and open up your abilities to hear, which is great.
I agree wholeheartedly, and in fact, have just been thinking about, quote, the art of listening, unquote, a lot lately. It brings to mind an experience I have. I'll make it brief.
Hmm.
For a long time, I've had as a sort of an idea, a hypothesis that I wanted to prove that there was another way of listening to the world of nature, which I have to admit I'm not very good at, in that I could listen, you could play whether it was that song or any piece of music, and I would have enough attention, even a long piece of music, although opera is usually challenging for me, to listen to it because it's music, it changes, and I'm conditioned to use well yours and Krishnamurti's words to know how a bit to listen to music. I don't have that. I didn't grow up in Papua New Guinea where all the voices of the forest speak to me all
Yeah.
the time. So it's new um, to try, and I see I mostly, except when I'm recording, do I have the attention for listening to a long piece of music. When I'm out there and it's all happening and I've got my earphones on and it's a great microphone, I could be out there for an hour and be okay with it. And time, I step into tape time and an hour goes by like it's, a
Hmm.
minute. But in general, I don't know how to listen to sound. So when I went out, I was in New Zealand and I was determined to have an experience of to try to see if there was another way. And I was in a place where there was it was very early in the morning. It was dawn chorus. There was a farmyard, a barnyard nearby, a farm. There were birds overhead. There was a rustling of trees and a slight breeze overhead. And most significantly, there was road a road nearby, which is usually, I'm conditioned as a sound recordist. Oh God, there comes a truck. I have to stop the recording. or oh boy, there's an airplane. Well, I was determined to see if it was possible to be the inclusive listener. And what I
Mm,
found for a brief moment was that I became grateful for the truck that would go by. I mean, I was far away from the road, but the microphone was so sensitive, it picked up the truck because the truck became this bookend, this parenthesis, the beginning of what was a musical phrase of when, and it was no longer a truck. It became
mhm.
a,
Yeah,
and then it was
yeah,
this texture, this color, this other thing that didn't need to, yes, of course I knew it was a truck, but it wasn't that penetrated to me. It was the color, the texture, and the gratitude to have it be the beginning, and then the next truck, which was maybe 2 minutes later,
yeah.
became the other bookend, the other parenthesis. And so now the sounds themselves then created this musical phrase. And the most mysterious thing of all was the shimmering, this incredible shimmering of the leaves in the wind, which
Yeah.
somehow softened the edges of all these categories, and they blended. They sort of became this wonderful mm, mixing a natural mixing agent so that the edges weren't so harsh. And then I realized, yes, this is no longer a theory. For myself, I've proved that there is another way to listen to it. If I
Yeah.
could if be open, it's all in terms of how receptive I am or I'm not.
You know, Jim, what you're telling me is exactly what I wanted to say before. This is that level of somehow you listening, creating a gestalt. It's somehow you're componing by listening. You create music. And where does it comes from? It comes from your inner musical being. Everybody has a musical being inside, and that musical being is interacting with the soundscape. And that type of listening, it makes even the sound of track beautiful because it's connected to something which on the end is art. This is art. This is a very beautiful way of listening. And there's always the question, can we learn it? Yes, absolutely. One way to learn it, by example, is just listening to you. Jim, you have a wonderful, a rich vocabulary of sound describing words. It is high above the average people use. Listening to you, I know exactly what you mean by that word when you're describing the wind. We know it. We're probably not using. So by listening to somebody like you, we get more aware just by thinking of sounds and the differentiation of sounds. And then when we go for the sound walk to the sound experience, and Schaeffer, a Canadian author, wrote a few booklets about it, just inspiration to listen, exercises to get more aware of listening. And we really can. I had so many experience with night sound walks and sound experiences, etc. Even together with my music band, we did just afternoons, the joy of listening, and so on. Uh, you really can learn it as people when they start to paint pictures. They go probably to their master of drawing and so on. And what they will learn in the school of become a painter is to watch these pictures of art, and the master will teach them, they will show him what they can see, the people, and they will understand. Now due to this teaching I can see much more. Before it was just a nice picture, now I can see so much for it. I see the beauty because my eyes and my reading of that, what I can see, got more differentiated. The same is possible with listening. We really can learn to become listener, and we can be contagious by the joy of listening. If
Mm,
I'm ready to that, I can learn in any age. And I worked a lot with people who had difficulty with the ear and needed the hearing aids. This is
Yeah.
a huge field, learning to hear with hearing aids,
Yeah.
learning to hear in the here and now, not hearing, comparing with the hearing I had before. Then you end always bad because with a hearing aid you have not a natural hearing, you have a good functional hearing. So you have to orientate yourself diverse. But even let's say by tinnitus, the sounds in the ear, the ring sound in the ear, and so on. I worked a lot with soundscapes, learning to hear through the tinnitus, through to the sounds of nature,
Huh.
and shifting the attention, the auditive attention, orientating and learning to hear through that sound, penetrating the tinnitus, which is so how can I say it, somehow so seductive to bring your attention to the tinnitus, so seductive. You have to learn to go through it. You cannot
Wow.
wait till it goes away because normally it's not going away. But you are able to go to listen through it and to penetrate to the outside, and then you will understand that sound is no longer a problem. It is there, but you are not listening. You are listening other things which are maybe more beautiful to listen. So this is a huge field as well, where we can learn a lot to listen. So
Wow.
to listen, we can learn, and I can say in any age.
Wow. Well, you've opened up several other doors that are unexpected, and so helpful. Maybe we should have another conversation sometime because I have a very good friend who's been bedeviled by tinnitus, and so I think we
Mm.
could talk more about that. And I don't know about you, but I'm 74 and I'm starting to lose my high-end hearing. Um, and I've tried a couple of hearing aids, and in the vernacular, it was, well, I'll skip the vernacular and just say it was so awful that I just couldn't bear it. It was so tinny. I was hearing through a tin can, like that
Yeah,
experiment, with the string in the tin can, and man, I said, Jesus, if we can put a person on the moon, is this the best we can do for hearing aids? Come on, guys, make it better. So I keep hoping that somebody will invent a hearing aid that has a little bit of bottom to it, and it's not all like hearing through a tin can. But it hasn't happened yet, so I'm hoping my ears hold out.
it's very complex. On one hand, we have the technology which is really improving. Hearing aids today, they are completely different as 10 years ago. That's true. They're really improving, they're getting better. But then there is the typology of hearing loss we have. Some hearing loss are really difficult to compensate with a hearing aid. But whenever you have success with the hearing aid, you won't have the natural hearing. If you
Yeah,
were not really interested in hearing, maybe you just had an ordinary hearing capacity, you were not really much attentive, then you will be happy with that what you hear with the hearing aid. If you were like you and me, really a deep listener,
yeah,
then you will be sad because you know what is a natural good hearing.
yeah,
Myself, until 50, I had my ears of a child. I had
yeah,
so perfect audiograms.
yeah,
And then I lost it. I had the high end difficulty. I had asymmetric. I have tinnitus and all that. So I had to learn to hear the world through all
oh,
that noise. And that's a complete different hearing. And you have to learn to enjoy what you hear,
yeah,
not to be disappointed what you're not hearing, and there I come back to Krishnamurti, who helps us to listen what you really listen, and then you understand when you have a hearing aid, easily you listen, always comparing to that natural hearing you had, and then of course you always see that what you not is there. And then you end up at, if you can leave that and you come in here and now, and you listen that what you hear, then you can open up a lot. And again, we normally are not using our hearing skills fully. I don't
mm,
know, I cannot give a percentage, is it 30% or so? You can learn a lot by listening. soundscapes. You can learn a lot to listen. And then you recognize it in the outside as well. So even your audiogram is probably not so good, but your processing of that what you hear
mm,
better, that you
mm,
can train. The brain you can train. My hearing, I have hearing aids. It's good for a day. So for everything is okay. I'm not so perfect anymore as I was in nature. But I always, when I walk with people, I hear much more in nature as they hear, even they have better ears, because they are not enough attentive or they don't know what they are listening. If I hear one cry from that fox, even the window is closed, I know this is a fox. I
yeah,
open the window and then I listening to it because that that form of a cry of a fox is so much in myself. Or if it is a male deer or a female deer, I just hear it.
yeah.
Even there maybe somebody is talking next to me, I just can hear there is a deer, and I turn and say, "Be quiet, there is a deer." And then she said, "Why did you hear that?" No, it was there. So this is the way we've learned our training, and that we always can do, even we are older. I made workshops for blind people. We
Ah,
always think that blind people are good listeners. Yeah,
yeah,
it can be, but not all
yeah.
of them. And I
Ah,
had trainings where I helped them to learn the acoustic observation of situations. And they could learn so much and they felt so more safe when they walked around in the cities and so on. You can learn to listen, and even if you don't hear well, you still can learn and to get satisfied with your hearing aid, knowing that you don't have a natural listening.
so just one last question. Is there a first step for either for those of us who are not very good listeners who wish to become better, or certainly for the even blind people who wish to become better listeners? What would be a good first step, a good, a practical suggestion that you could give us in that direction?
The readiness of change. The readiness of change because we have habits to listen. We
Mm,
are so programmed. We have
mm,
habits to listen and to get over that. And my first exercise is always simple: sit down, close your eyes, wait, and listen. What can you hear? And then tell it yourself and write it on a piece of paper. I can hear a dog. I can hear a bird. There is a car. I can hear nothing. I can hear my heart. You just write down
mm,
an inventory what you hear. And then when we are together, then we're talking about, oh, I hear that voice. Okay. Then we go on. Then the dog again. And then ask yourself, where is that dog? Oh, it's over there. Uh, can I describe that? Is it a deep voice? Is it a high voice? Is it a tense voice? Is it a relaxed voice?
mm,
And so on. Start to name what you hear.
mm,
There you come to your vocabulary. You
mm.
know, in my dialect, in this Glarner dialect where I'm living, we have around 80 words describing sounds.
Wow.
Even in German, we have so many words describing sounds. If you do a research of your in your language of words which describing sounds,
Mm.
work on that, you will feel the ears are opening up.
Ah,
Later, but the first thing, just sit down, listen, and get aware what you hear.
ah. Well,
Not
that's a
judging, I don't hear nothing. If you hear nothing, you've heard that you're hearing nothing, that there is
huh,
emptiness. It's already something.
huh.
Don't judge,
Wow.
just listen, make an inventory. This is the start.
It's a great start. It reminds me of, I don't speak German, but I remember from being in Germany with friends, my favorite German word, of which there is nothing like this word that I know of in English, which was, I'll probably mispronounce it, Gemütlichkeit. Gemütlichkeit. Did I?
Genüsslichkeit, ja.
Gemütlichkeit, I butchered it, of course. Gemütlichkeit. What a wonderful word of this atmosphere of conviviality. Anyway, I feel that. that atmosphere with you, and that how great to be a listener in the same choir
Yeah,
with you.
that's true. That's true.
So thank you. I'm gonna turn off the recording now. Thank you.
And you know what is so beautiful? We friends of listening, we understand each other all the time. When you are in that listening, if you are from America, you're from Switzerland. If I listen in Tuscany, you listen over there in America. We just understand because we know what we are talking about. It's so beautiful. I met people from all different situations which are listening. We always felt familiar.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good way to put it. So thank you again.